Have you ever felt like you've just figured things out? That your business is rolling along or you're rolling along, and then all of a sudden, someone else does something that has a significant impact on you or your business. If you're the local gas station and you've been humming along and people are popping in and you got your regular customers, and then the big chain pops in on the opposite corner. And now you have to think about, do you need to make changes? We're going to have that conversation today as we talk about making changes and those changes that are based on others' actions and more on episode 836 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning.
It is. And I'm hoping that given my remote location that my internet holds out. So this might be a quick episode for me. It might seem like the longest episode ever for Bob. So why don't we move forward and welcome everyone.
Go ahead. Godspeed. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome everyone to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I pick a topic, and then each day of the weekday, we have a conversation around that topic. As I mentioned, we're talking about making changes. And today we're going to discuss about changes that might be based on someone else's actions. And as we go through that conversation, if you have thoughts or ideas you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. And because we know that'll add value to our show. At the end of the conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you figure out how to take your next step when you might be frustrated, stuck, uncertain, or just feeling all alone and not sure what to do. We hope that you will, if you have one as well, you will provide your antidote, because we know that it'll add value not only to the show, and it might be that thing that someone has been told and just hasn't heard. So please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. Before we dive into that conversation, though, each morning Bob and I share our celebration. So Bob, what are you celebrating today? I'm
celebrating that I finally got my lighting down. It looks good. It's 2 days in a row. I'm feeling good about it.
Awesome.
It's been
I was going to say, I thought you celebrated that yesterday.
Journey. It's been actually, I think it's been almost a year-long journey to get the lighting worked out.
Lighting. So you've now made some changes. Hopefully someone else or something else, we'll talk about something else tomorrow, doesn't get in the way of those.
Yes. We hope something or someone doesn't get in the way. My cat could get in the way because he could knock over a light stand at any moment. So his actions could affect my success.
There you go.
How about you? What are you celebrating?
I'm celebrating today that I had a lovely day with my parents yesterday and made them dinner, which I think they were very appreciative of. And I got to go outside and do a little manual labor to help them with some overgrown weeds that they've been dealing with. And so I'm celebrating that I have a business that allows me to do it from wherever I need to do it. And so that I can be there to do other things that have value and priority for me as well.
Are you sore today?
Not yet. Here's the fortunate thing about that. So they have these overgrown weeds right by the side of the road, and it kind of blocks the vision going out to the left. And so my dad first said, well, we've got this weed whacker. And I'm like, okay. And he said, we also have a trimmer. He said, they might be too thick for the trimmer. Well, fortunately, most of them were not too thick for the trimmer. So I was able to use the electric weed whacker for a good part of it, and only had to, do the old, whatever that thing is called, a weed whacker that I had to power. So I'm probably not as sore. And it made me, I put it in my left hand. So I would think about that, maybe someday this summer I'm going to get out and play golf, and so that would help my swing.
Okay. All right. I like that. That's good. That's good. That would be a change in behavior that would lead to others' actions.
It
I
could.
might go out and play if you did.
There we go. Perfect. All right. You want to dive into our topic today, or do you want me to
Yes, I
start?
do. So whenever we're operating a business or leading a team, it doesn't matter. Whatever we're doing, change is inevitable. Often we affect change. I change my pricing. I change my logo. I change my colors. I change my website. I change my email date. I change social media. I change all those things.
And we
But
talked
today
about
we're
that
talking
yesterday,
about
right?
what's that? Huh?
And we talked about that yesterday. We had a long
Right.
discussion about when we
Right.
make those choices. Yep.
Right. But we also react to other people's changes. And there's no choice but to react. You can't be a stick in the mud if, in your example at the beginning of the program, if you have the gas station and the big national competitor comes in and they've got their nice little, gas mart place where they have all those newspapers, if anyone has newspapers left, and the candy and the coffee and the hot dogs and all those things, you've got to react. You might put in a car wash. You might lower your prices if you can. You might change your signage. You've got to react. And I think one of the things that sometimes we can be slow to do is make changes because of others' actions. I know there are times where I'm like, oh, that won't work for them. And I just wait and see. And I wait and see. And before long, it's working for them. And the other thing I'll tell you is watching other people make changes often sparks me to make really good changes. Changes that challenge me to be to sharpen my saw, in the manner of speaking, to be better prepared for dealing with my customers. If someone figured, I remember years ago I was working on websites, and we were looking at the cost of websites, and we were looking at small businesses that couldn't afford websites, and someone came in with a product that did websites at a lower rate. A couple of us saw that, and we started to play around with it. Well, how can we shave that price even more and deliver what we need to deliver? And it created a really innovative solution that I don't think we would have gotten to had the sequence not come along. And so I think that's the positive thing, that we make changes based on others' actions because it forces us to re-engage in a way. Because I think the other thing we as, leaders, owners, however you want to look at it, tend to do is be like, okay, I figured this out. I'm going to take a deep breath, relax, and just enjoy the hard work for a while. I've worked so hard to get to this point. The fact of the matter is that just doesn't work. If you get that for a day or a week, you deserve an award, because I've yet to find more than about 10 minutes where I can rest and say, okay, I got that figured out. Because it's constant change. I think that might be the biggest challenge to me as an owner, is that it is constant change. And when I worked for someone else, I was largely insulated from a lot of the bigger changes. There was a board, there was a CEO, there was an executive committee, there were bosses. They dealt with the changes all the time. And they just came and said, Bob, hey, we're going to change this. I remember one time we were going to do something one way on Friday. Monday morning, they completely flip-flopped it. I don't know what happened over the weekend. I just know it was very jarring to completely shift something 180 degrees over the course of a weekend. But as I look back on it now, I realize I'm thankful I didn't spend my weekend worrying about it. I was frustrated because that's going to require a lot of change from me because of their actions. But in the end, as I look back on it, it was a good decision to make the change, and it saved us from making what would have been an expensive mistake.
Yeah, it's interesting as you were talking about it. So sometimes our mind is a fascinating place. As you were talking, I had a memory.
That's a whole program for a year, Tom.
I know. I had a memory come up in my head that I remember probably almost 20 years ago. When I was working at a place, and one of our supporters, I was working in a nonprofit organization, one of our supporters was talking about the industry they were in, and they were in the insurance industry. And I was getting together with them either right after the new year, or like as the year was ending, because that's when like rates change and they do all of their renewals, and they were talking about how the industry was getting more and more challenging because people were doing more price shopping in the insurance industry, and I think it was in the business insurance industry,
Mhm.
and they were doing value. And I remember this person intentionally telling me that they made the choice to not modify their prices much. They doubled down on their service and the value that they were providing. And they had a belief that that was more important than just, giving up your business to, that somebody comes to you just because you've got a lower price. Which likely meant that there's going to be a lot of turnover, right? Because you'd get the lower, and that was what they were banking on, was we're going to double down on our customer service and the value we provide. And yes, we may lose a few people because of price, although those who value the customer service will stay with us, and those who leave us because of price may, in a very short time, realize that price wasn't all they were truly looking for. While yes, it helped their bottom line, it didn't help the overall running of their business. And that for those people who only wanted price, they stopped worrying about, like, you know what, if that's what they're going to do, not only were they going to do it, but if we lower our price, they'll then go find somebody else. And if it's only about price, we're playing a game that we're probably never truly going to win because people aren't going to stay. And so let's focus on those people who it's really about the value and the service that you provide and a fair price. And it was interesting talking to them a few years later of what the impact of that decision was. And they were sharing how they really valued the fact that they made that choice, that they weren't just customer, price, trying to get people just by the price, that this was the way they had always done their business. Now they modified it and they had to do more customer service and figure out what additional value they could provide. And it not only kept many of their customers, some of those that left thinking that they had to do it because of price ended up coming back because they weren't getting what they needed. And so the value, the reduction in costs didn't justify the value that they truly needed to help them run their business. And I think that's part of it for us, is we have to choose, like, we have to have the value of having a core mission for your business or organization or your leadership style, is you have to know where you're at and figure out is, yes, somebody else has made choices. It's having an impact on me. And not that I'm not going to do anything. It's going to be, I'm going to choose, like, which path do I go? And if I go back to my core, I think we're going to be more happy. If we just go back to, like, I'll do anything and say anything. And even though I probably can't back it up just to get the business, or I'm like, I truly believe that I have this value. And then I still have to think about what are the changes that I need to make to ensure that people see that value and will appreciate that and stay, even though potentially the price might be a little higher.
Well, as you were talking, Tom, I was thinking that you're really talking about always being focused on the customer, right? Other people change their actions, but if you're true to your customer, whatever that customer is, it kind of serves as a North Star that you can kind of know where you're going. So if someone comes in with a lower price, okay, great. Your customer might go there for a week, a month, a year, but they might come back because they realize that those people don't know what they're doing. They don't have the service that they say they can do things that they can't do. And I think really understanding your customer is one of the things that when I work with people on this issue, it's about, okay, what does your customer want? Well, they want this. Okay, do they really? Because sometimes a new player comes into the marketplace and they just make assumptions.
Sure.
And so sometimes if we knee jerk to, they've lowered their price by 25%, we've got to do the same thing. That may not be, like you said, may not be what your customer wants. I go to a dry cleaner that you pay up front when you drop the stuff off. So when you pick it up, it's super fast.
Right.
So you can drop it off in the morning. It might take a little longer. In the afternoon, when you've had a long day of work, it's really quick. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting business model. I'd never seen that before. It also works for them because they get their money up front. And if I never come back to get my stuff, but it's a win-win.
Well, I think it also, as you think about it, is if I pay up front, I don't have to stand in line when I come back. I just, if they have someone who's handling everybody who's picking up, then they can really do the focus work they need to do at the beginning and not just rush through it, but they can be like, okay, where is the spot and how do you want us to do this? And they can really provide that so that when they just know that I don't have to stand in line while somebody else is doing this so I can pay. I can just grab and go.
It's always the next day too. It's always one day. No matter what you take in the morning, it's always the next day after 5 p.m. So it's very easy mentally. Unlike, wait, let me check the ticket.
Sounds like a great business. Maybe they should sponsor our show.
They should.
You might want to talk to them about that.
All right, I will.
All right, so here, I'm going to throw my one thing in.
Go, early, Tom, go.
Because I had it. You were talking about really knowing your customer and that's your North Star. And I'm going to go in a different direction. I think it's really about knowing, is knowing yourself. And what is it about you that makes you and your business have value, and staying true to that. That just because someone comes in doesn't mean that you have to change who you are. That insurance company chose not to we just need to make sure our prices are lower. They went the other way because that's what they firmly believed in, is that their business, that there was still a personal element to their business that was critical, and that those relationships were more valuable in the end, may not be in the short term, than a little bit of drop in price just to meet someone's budget. That has value, and those people have to make those choices. Yet they believed that it was all about, this is how we want to serve our customers. And we truly believe there is value in that, and that because of that value, people will stay and will come back because they're not getting what they had somewhere else. And if they don't, they don't. And, you can choose to be a price chaser all the time and worry about, do I have the lowest price? Or you could be a value provider and say, my price is what it is because I believe that the value that you're going to get out of this is probably worth even more than what the price is once you discover that. So I'm going to say that your North Star is you.
I'm going to say it's a combination of you knowing yourself, but also knowing your customer. And I think that combination is really the way to know, one, ultimately what changes you want to make to better serve your customer, which is really what it comes down to. Because if you make your decisions based solely on what other people are doing, you're kind of just blowing in the wind. What do you think? Did I lose you?
All right. I like that.
All right.
No,
all right,
I'm here.
Good.
All right. If you have one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments, because we know that it'll not only add value to our conversation, it may also be the thing that someone else is looking for. And if you happen to be listening to the podcast, we know that unfortunately there is no place for you to comment. Bob has been a little slow on coming up with that solution. Sorry, that's a judgment. Bob is still working on that solution. So we would invite you to join us in our Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where you can share those thoughts and ideas, and where you can see what others have to share. Bob did a great video yesterday about 4 things that are impacting small businesses. And it's a great little video, something for you to consider and see if you're one of those. And it was amazing to me, the statistics of why small businesses don't succeed, and why people end up closing down or shutting down their small business. So you might want to check that out and see if one of those things are one of your challenges. And if they are, and you like to talk about it, reach out to Bob and I, because we can help you work through what might that look like, and how do you avoid having you become one of those statistics of why a small business doesn't succeed. So we look forward to seeing you inside of that group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time. Actually, it's going to be 7 a.m. Eastern time.
Spot on the next 2 days.
That's right. For our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, whatever you do, folks, on this beautiful Tuesday, embrace the renegade in you. So worth it.
It is. All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. No, sorry. Go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.